My name is Shoshana Wasserman. I am the Deputy Director here at First Americans Museum. I'm from Papago Tribal Town, Muskogee Nation. And this, whole place has just been this has been 3 decades in the making. And many of you have followed that journey all these many years. And it was always for moments like this when we would gather as community and come together and see one another and have those great laughs and those great hugs. It was so fun just seeing everybody coming into the lobby and, just that sense of community and camaraderie. And so we're just really, really grateful and happy that we could all be here tonight for this special occasion. There's some very special people here in the house tonight, and we're going to be introducing several of them after the film. But for those of you, how many of you have never been here before? Would you raise your hand? That is way too many people. So we're going to solve that for you tonight after the film. We have another event going on, and so they have the gallery open. And so if there is anybody that would like to go through the gallery tonight, you are more than welcome to do that. You'll only have about 45 minutes to do that, but you can take a quick spin. But for those of you who do not know, this museum was dreamt up so many years ago by so many different people. It has been touched by so many people, so it is not the work of any one person or even 15 people. It was a dream. We knew we needed a place in an urban area where we could come together as a community. Many of us live outside our, jurisdictional areas, and we don't get to go home and participate in all of the programming that goes on in our home areas. And so we've become this beautiful home in the middle of Oklahoma City for our communities. And so that's really a wonderful thing. At First Americans Museum, we say, one place, many nations. There is nowhere else that you can go and visit 39 distinct nations all in one location and really appreciate and understand that cultural diversity. Well, we have had so many successes over we opened in September of 2021 after 3 decades. And we've had so many great successes and just, opportunities to welcome people from all over the world. We've had people from all 50 states, 31 countries, over 200,000 visitors in that very first year. So there's a lot of people that are coming here and are taking interest in our stories. And that's what tonight is all about, is us telling our own stories, sharing our own stories. And so we appreciate it very much. I do want to kind of talk with you just very quickly because I know you've seen some slides and you're probably wondering, what on earth is Grandma Turtle doing here? Well, when we opened the museum, we did not get to complete one of our gallery spaces, and that is our Family Discovery Center. And so tonight is partly a fundraiser for the Family Discovery Center. We're at the final stretch, and Grandma Turtle is ready to welcome all of her relatives. And this is a beautiful space with so many different interactives, a place where our families can come together. And we have this wonderful area called Let's Stay, Let's Eat, and it's a feast space. And it just aligns so beautifully with what we're talking about here tonight, because it is our communities coming together and having that respectful understanding for our food sovereignty, our lifeways, our indigenous ingredients. And tonight is one of those times when we're celebrating all of that. And so we hope that perhaps we've had a couple of conversations in the last week that perhaps even some of the Mother Corn teachings could find their way into this beautiful space. This space is geared for Grandma who's 103, all the way down to the little one that's 3 years old, all being in that same space together. So we're really excited to bring this to fruition, and we're at the final stretch right now. But tonight we segue from where we are here at First Americans Museum, and I do want to say that we are very fortunate to have our CEO and our executive director, who is sitting right up here at the top in the bright blue, who is attending here tonight. And so James Pepper Henry, who has been in the museum business for 30 some odd years himself, And he really came to this museum and really took us to the finish line, and so we were just delighted. He has a very, very busy schedule, but we're just delighted that he took the time and was able to be here with us tonight. If you are part of our staff, would you please raise your hand and just kind of be recognized? We have a couple of staff members here, and so we just want to thank you. Or if you got voluntold to be here, you can raise your hand. So with that, we are going to segue right into this amazing film that we are here to see. And right after the film, we will have a little bit of a panel discussion. We'll be talking with the filmmaker, and we'll dive into that a little more. But right now, I do want to say we're very lucky the program is funded in part by the Oklahoma Humanities and National Endowment for Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in the program do not necessarily represent those of OH or any age. And we also want to acknowledge and thank Seventh Generation for Indigenous Peoples, because they too are one of the sponsors for tonight. So without any further ado, we are going to see this very, very special film. It is 10 minutes in length. And so immediately after the film, we'll take just a quick minute, if you'll bear with us, and we'll move some chairs out here, and then I'll share the biographies of the two very special ladies that helped bring this to life. So with that, let us enjoy the scene.
My mom said there wasn't a straight spoon in the house when I was a little girl, that I'd be outside digging all the time. I've been growing plants, it seems like all my life. The flowers that I use, they're still the same flowers that I was growing when I was a teenager. Everywhere I moved, I kept the seeds and kept growing them and kept collecting them. My people, the Arikara, the Pawnee, didn't always live in Oklahoma. Our homeland was in the land that later became Nebraska. My great-great-grandparents couldn't take much, but they took their sacred corn.
We held on to that corn from that walk all the way from Nebraska down to Oklahoma. A really difficult, challenging time where many of our people were lost, but some of us still held those seeds. Then it's just a really beautiful thing to me that decades later, we found a way for those seeds to still germinate, even if they were down to like a handful of seeds.
This one, we called it the Knife Chief corn because we thought Dib's Knife Chief had cross-pollinating corn or something, but he came up with this striped corn, this red, white striped, and about 6 feet down they found a buffalo skull. Well, a buffalo hadn't been there since 1863, and inside the buffalo skull was that seed. The corn didn't reach its full potential in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma soil weakened the seed. So our Pawnee put the seeds away. One of the first questions I asked is, hey, where's our corn? I mean, that's what we're known for. It took a long while to answer that question. Our culture committee, our chiefs, asked families, and they would produce what they had, and some of it we couldn't get to grow because it was stored so poorly. But some were kept in bundles, and there'd only be 20 seeds in there. 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 One day, I got an unexpected call from Nebraska. That gave me hope that we could grow our corn again in our homeland.
I worked at the Archway in Kearney over I-80 that teaches a lot of history about the trails and transportation. And I had natives telling me you really need to teach more about the 1,000 years before that. So that's how I met Deb Echo-Hawk. I wanted to start a program about the Pawnee because we're in the homeland here in central Nebraska. So wanted to have gardening as part of that because I grew up on a corn farm and I've always gardened. She sent me just 25 seeds in 2004, the first year, and I planted them like we do. We plant corn in late April here in Nebraska. So I went out and did that, and I was all excited, and it all rotted in the ground. It was too early and too cold. So the next year, she sent 25 kernels. She said, I have 25 left. This is it. I can't part with the last 25. We have to be able to show our children what it looked like once.
Ronnie O'Brien, she's my little corn sister. In fact, we gave her name in Pawnee. Yeah, I think she cried for days when that happened. We talk almost daily and sometimes several times a day. Other Nebraska farmers wanted to plant Pawnee corn too. One was Dale Fight, a man that I would later call friend.
We wouldn't be here if it wouldn't have been for the Pawnee helping my family. When they homesteaded just a mile south of here in 1869, there was a Pawnee encampment another mile south of them. It was the Pawnee, and they ended up, trading food and things with them, and it's evolved into a love affair, and like I say, in a very spiritual way. It's become, the connection with the Pawnee people. They are truly family. This is a manicuring of a precious resource from a historical and spiritual base that is teaching us how we need to be in the future. It is teaching the next generations.
To see and to hear Dale, when his great grandparents, homesteaded this place, and how the Pawnees helped them through that winter. They felt they owed something to the Pawnees. It's pretty awesome that he still feels that way. I mean, that was a long, long time ago, and things die off, but that's still in his heart, in his family's heart, to recognize that. That really tells me a lot about him and his family. That they're really good people.
Yeah, so it really makes life great, and you don't have to heat it, just infuse it.
Each fall we travel to Nebraska to pick and prepare corn for our ceremonies and to restore our traditional diet.
There's always a feeling for me when I am here with this land of being home, which in a sense, maybe I feel a little bit silly to say because I've never lived here, but it's true.
I love to remind Nebraskans that we were the first corn huskers.
We're smiling like we have in a long time. There's a little bit of teaching that goes into almost everything that we're doing. Yeah, it's been beautiful to see it all play out into a camp setting. So this year we're processing eagle corn. We've been working towards this moment for a long time to be able to serve eagle corn to the people at our dances, at our spring ceremonies, where everybody can try it, everybody can know what it tastes like.
I like the eagle corn to taste because when we shell it, we get the whole thing. We're careful about how we take the kernels off the cob. But when you cook it, we'll blanch, roast it, and then take it off the cob. But then when you cook it, it turns like super round, and it just kind of pops in your mouth. And to me, it's got this really incredible nut-like taste. That's definitely my favorite. And we like it when it looks like an eagle with its wings spread out. It's fun to find that design in there and a lot of other designs. It's just like an art show every day. looking at all the different varieties. Lots of prayers have gone into this corn in all phases of production, and anytime you pray to brings out the healing properties of plants. We've been putting wrong foods in our bodies, so if we get back to a food that our DNA, our bodies recognize, then hey, we're going to have healthier people. We use corn, as most tribes do, in every celebration there is, powwows, ceremonies, and there's just so much reverence to it. When we were on the verge of extinction, it was just a miracle that we found some of our corn. I mean, what an adventure it has been.
Mother corn is very, very, very sacred. To have something that was passed down generation to generation to generation, and we're still able to consume it, to taste it. It touches the soul. To realize, our grandmas, great grandmas took care of us enough to supply us.
Opportunity to be here tonight with two very, very special people. We want to ask Rebekka Schlichting and Deb Echo-Hawk to come on up to the stage as soon as we get our seating and everything here together. But let's give them another great big round of applause. We've been waiting a very long time to share and tell our own stories, and so we just want to thank both of you for taking the time and the energy to share stories that we're some of the most invisible people in our own land, and we're trying to change that. Here at First Americans Museum, we share the collective story of the 39 tribes that are in Oklahoma today, and we have so much light and so much wisdom and knowledge to share with all of our neighbors, both here, across the nation, and certainly across the world. So with that, let's give a great big round of applause for director and producer Rebekka Schlichting and Deb Echo-Hawk, if you would come and make your way up to the stage. So I want to take just a moment, because I think most everyone knows these spectacular powerhouse women here, but just in case some of you do not, Deb Echo-Hawk, who's a Pawnee citizen, serves as the executive director for the Pawnee Seed Preservation Society. Her background includes teaching and coordinating the Indian education programs for Denver Public Schools, managing the education and training department, and later food programs for Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma, growing ancestral crops and forming Nebraska homeland alliances to ensure that our non-hybrid corn will never be on the verge of extinction, but flourish to provide nutritional food for our future. Let's give her a great big round of applause. Thank you, Deb. It is an honor to be here in your presence today. We appreciate you being here. And then we have Rebekka Schlichting. She is a member, an enrolled member of the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, a filmmaker and owner of Native Storytelling Nation, LLC. In 2023, she directed, produced, and wrote the documentary Seed Warriors. The world premiere was held at the World Indigenous Maori Land Film Festival in New Zealand, and it's playing at various festivals in the U.S. today. Rebekka is also an assistant professor at the University of Kansas William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communications, where she teaches writing, ethics, and a variety of video classes. She's an adjunct for Nebraska Indian Community College, where she teaches multimedia journalism. She co-directs the KU School of Journalism Summer Native Storytelling Workshop for Native high school students and serves on the Lawrence Arts and Culture Commission, the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska Culture Committee, and heads the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska Annual Powwow. Please give a warm welcome to Rebekka. We also have another celebrity in the house. We have, I know Boots Kennedy, if you will raise your hand. And Boots was the co-director and cinematographer on this film and many other films. So we welcome you and thank you for your presence here tonight. Let's give Boots a great applause. So, Deb, let's start with you. You have spent so much of your life dedicated to this important work. I want to make sure we have the mics on. So let me just make sure. Yeah, you got that. Okay. So with these mics, you'll have to kind of hold them out like this. But tell us just how this journey began for you and the importance of this work.
Thanks for asking that. I don't think anybody's ever really asked me that, really. I would guess that this journey started with my dad telling me stories. Because he had always wanted to write about our Pawnee history, and he had notebooks filled with notes. And he talked about the mother corn. He had pictures of it. So I kind of grew up listening to him and songs. We would go to rodeos all over the place. He used to back into the steering wheel, and had it all rough back there. This ring made sound like a drum, sing all these songs. And so, we've always grew up knowing about our corn and our mother corn and how important it was to us. My oldest brother, he's like the bossiest person I know. He managed to get some eagle corn back in the early 90s. And so we all grew it out in Colorado where we were living at the time. And so that's really where I started to grow our own food. Of course, I always grew flowers and everything else before then. But my brother was the one that said when the harvest came to where we could eat it, he shook his head and said, "No, you can't eat it. You need to hang on to this, and let's use it for seeds." And so that's really where I started. I just always listened to him along. But I'm kind of glad I did. So then I moved to Oklahoma, then that's when I started asking. My cousin Annie,
her and I, we kept trying to grow it in Colorado and as much as we could. But we were excited when both of us had moved to Pawnee, Oklahoma, you know, to find that corn. And it became an Easter egg hunt. We did find it. Families started to, the culture committee asked people to turn it in, and Adrian, who's sitting out here, he had some corn, different families. So they made me the keeper of the seeds, and I just stuck to that. A lot of great volunteers. I wish all of our volunteers would stand up and staff people that are here.
Please do, or at least raise your hand.
We couldn't do it without you, you know.
Let's give them a great round.
In other words, I'm not alone. You know, just it takes a lot of us to do this. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank all of you who have dedicated your life to this. It's so important for our future generations. And, you know, sometimes it's very easy to take that for granted. And so we really appreciate being able to stop tonight and honor this work and this legacy. Rebekka, tell me about how the two of you first got acquainted and how did this project come to fruition for you?
Yes, so I'm on a project, a bigger film, it's a feature film, and it's called Return to the Land. It's also funded by Filmmaker, and that one's about people giving back pieces of their land or giving back in some way to the natives that were there first. And so this was one of the many stories that's being told in this bigger story, but when the filmmakers were looking at it, they said, this needs to be its own story. It deserves more of a, you know, substantial story. It needs more time rather than the couple minutes that would get in this larger film. And so it just so happened that we were talking about that, and then the next day, someone reached out to me from Firelight Media and said, here's this grant. Do you know anybody who would be interested in going for it? And so this is the first film that I've directed professionally. I've done some as a student, but this is the first film I've directed professionally, produced. So that's how we got started. And Margaret Jacobs and Boots Kennedy, they got me in touch with Deb, and we had to go back a couple of times to do extra shoots because we had a lot of footage already, but we wanted to go back and kind of tell the origin of the story and get more footage.
So, you know, with a journey like this museum, with any film project, with any endeavor, there's always challenges along the way. So I'd love to hear from you, Deb, first and foremost, you know, just with the preservation work. What have been some of your great obstacles and challenges, and how have you overcome those? And then, Rebekka, I'd love to hear the same thing from you, just with regard to this film and the larger film that you're working on.
I like the word challenges. It sounds so much better than other words that we use. But honestly, for the greatest challenge, I think, is to have the proper space to do our work. And I always refer to them as my little friends. And my poor sister Ronnie just hates that when I say that because I'm referring to weevils. But, you know, I figure these little friends are telling me that they love the corn, it's healthy, it doesn't have pesticides in it or anything like that. And yeah, they have been very interesting, like, you know, to observe them. But of course, that's not what I really want to do. I want to, you know, keep the health of our seeds going. And Patsy Cooper's in the house, and she's I really love Patsy because her dedication is phenomenal, and she always finds those little apartments, and the weevils have made a little home, and she gets rid of those, and then we take it out and feed all the deer and out in backyard, so nothing goes to waste, right, Patsy? So, yeah, that's my biggest worry. In fact, when the movie or this video came out, Rebekka named it Seed Warriors. I really wanted to name it Seed Warriors.
Well, I'm sure you had quite a few years of worrying, and I'm sure you did as well, even in this production. So do you mind sharing just what some of those challenges were, and how did you overcome that? Because I think part of what's so beautiful here is that this is a story of perseverance. It's a story of the fact that we know many of us were not from here, and yet we were uprooted, and we made new homes here, and we had to relearn a lot of different cultural lifeways, and yet look at us today. And so that's a pretty proud story. So what were some of the challenges that kind of came along with this film process?
Well, actually, I wanted to name it Seed Keepers, not Seed Warriors, but this is a part of Homegrown Future Visions by Firelight. And so it's one of 8 pieces, and we're all Midwest, and we're all filmmakers of color who are a part of this bigger Homegrown series. And so we have one other Native in the mix, and they got to Language Keepers right before I got to Seed Keepers. So they didn't let me keep the name, but Seed Warriors I just felt was really important, and I felt like you all are warriors for our people, so I went with that instead. But challenges in addition to that one, because I tried to fight that one a little bit and I lost, but that's okay. I like Seed Warriors a lot. I think the creative process, just in general, is a challenge, and I wrote the first draft, and I thought it was great. And then I got feedback from Nebraska Public Television and Firelight that was very conflicting oftentimes. One was more of this old school PBS way, and one was more of this, give me something artistic and poetic. And Boots and I were like, how do we figure out how to meet them in the middle? And he did a wonderful job with editing, doing that. And they really wanted me to cut that quote where Deb says, I like to remind Nebraskans that we're the first Cornhuskers. And I'm so glad. I was like, no, we're not cutting that. And I'm so glad because every time I've shown it, the crowd laughs. It's awesome.
Yeah, you gotta have our sense of humor. Come on, man. I know you're working, you shared a little bit about your next film project. Do you have other things in the pipeline as well?
Right, yeah. We just got a grant with another production, and I'm going to be a director, producer on this film as well. We don't have a name yet, but it goes along. Are there any Otos here today? All right, cool. Awesome. So it's about Otos coming home to Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, and they have this partnership now. I don't know if you all have been up there for this. Okay, cool. And so it's kind of following that partnership and what that sort of what home means, kind of exploring that, especially to those who have been displaced over time. And it also explores land-based commemoration for natives, because we don't have enough of that. We have a lot of statues, but not enough native statues and memorials for us.
Wonderful. That'll be terrific. All of that, and we'll see that coming. It is interesting because so many of us are from other places. So there's only, 5 tribes that were indigenous here. And I think so oftentimes, even when people come to the museum, they think of this as a very localized story. They think about this is, the story of Native people in Oklahoma, but they don't understand our connectivity to homelands. They don't understand what that continues to mean to us today. And so what does that mean to you? And I know that you brought the corn here. It didn't thrive here originally. Went to Nebraska, it thrived. Can you talk a little bit about those kinds of, thoughts?
Sure. Well, one of the things I wanted to also mention is, you mentioned 39 tribes for Oklahoma, but we have sister tribes. And so they're very much a part of us. So the Ripros physically may be up in North Dakota, but they're part of us, and along with the Wichita. That, you know, so I would say, you know, that you change that to 40. But anyway, yeah, I really I like everything that we've been doing, you know, as far as our challenges and you know what we do. I just feel like, you know, we always say we never know where the seeds are going to take us, you know, and so that's the path that we're on, is listening to corn and learning from the corn, having it be our teacher. You know, so kind of lean on that.
So, can you share the importance of rematriation of the corn?
Rematriation is kind of a fairly new word. We had actually tried to repatriate corn, and in doing so, our office for the Pawnee Nation had John Michael and I Chief actually do the proper paperwork under the Act for repatriation to get our seeds back, and then we did, and it was a joyful day to get that seeds back from USDA. But then we found out that it wasn't all of our seeds. It was as if we were another person going to just check out seeds, and the paperwork says things like, well, you know, happy growing, you know, do what you can with this. In repatriation, that's kind of has more tones for getting the women behind the seeds, and in a way kind of empowering them to get back to the soil and plants and that energy. So we're excited about that too. You know, like I said, we're working with our sister tribes to come up with ceremonies that are the same, or as what they have up there would be the same in Pawnee. But there's a lot of other things that surround the corn. And one of our chiefs here, Adrian, you know, he does a lot of that respect for that in ceremonies. So corn's pretty important in that respect. So it's not just for the women, but they take a huge role in. So rematriation, that I think across Indian country is just really telling us that this is a way to heal, and you know, this is important. And so let's pay attention.
Thank you for that, explanation. And I know that sometimes people don't have that understanding. I think we're going to get just an incredibly special opportunity today to better understand your origin story, to better understand some of the teachings. And I think one of the things that we experience here at the museum a lot, well, first of all, I was just taking a tour through the gallery today, and I had some non-native friends, and they were touring through the gallery, and then there was another group of native constituents, and they were going through the gallery. And what I love about this place is it is bringing us all together again, and it is bringing us, in spite of a lot of things going on out there in the broader community, I guess you would say, it is reminding us that we're all human beings, and we have so much more in common. And, when we were putting the Family Discovery Center together, that's exactly what we were looking at. We were looking at what are those human values: respect, community, relationship, stewardship. How can we learn to be resilient and thrive in a modern context? And so I see so many similarities, and as we have been talking over the last several weeks, it's just really exciting, to kind of see how those teachings can find their way into some of the work we're doing here. But as I was looking at those two different constituent groups, and I was hearing from our non-native visitors that was, wow, I just didn't know. I just didn't know this story. And they were just so moved and so impassioned to hear an authentic voice. And I think that's the power that we have today. Media, we're at a really wonderful moment with media. And I think we have to leverage that power. And then as I was looking at the, native constituents that they were going through, I was hearing, hey, that's my grandma's voice. That's my uncle's picture there. And so the history, is so close. And we come through these spaces and we feel our families and we feel our communities. And so to me, that is, just such a special thing. And I think that just came through in your film as you found these non-native allies that became not just your advocates, but your champions. And so, it's my hope that tonight, as we all leave, that we will find those things that unite us and that, bring us closer together, because I think there is more of that than there is the divide and discourse. And I know tonight we're going to have a very special presentation. And I know that both of you have put so much work into this, but both of these lovely ladies wanted to yield more of their time to this mother corn teachings that we're going to experience now. And I think that's so important because so often when people come through our, museum or they encounter us in communities, they, sort of want to relegate us to the historical past. But we're here, we're today, we're living these teachings. And so today I am so very excited to invite some of our other guests up to the stage. And so with that, we're going to make a little bit of a transition. But Deb, I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, and I know the audience that's sitting here, so many of your community members and allies, I want to thank you for the amazing work that you've done for all of us. And so I just want you to pay respect and give this incredible woman a round of applause, and we are just so grateful for your dedication and your work. Thank you. I just want to say, how proud I am. I see this younger generation telling our stories. I see you feeding this passion and love in the young people that you're teaching. And so I just want to say to you, please keep telling these stories. The Otos are waiting for you. And so I just want to thank you very much. And we need people like you. And it's so encouraging for people like me who, are on the kind of the other end of the spectrum and are ready to pass that baton to young, energetic, and caring people about our future. So with every love and bit of gratitude, I want to thank you on behalf of myself and behalf of the audience here today. Please keep doing what you're doing. Hidatsa Arikara Nation from Fort Berthold Indian Reservation in North Dakota. Jennifer earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Native American Studies from the University of Oklahoma and a Master's of Arts degree in Language, Literacy, Sociocultural Studies with an emphasis in American Indian education from the University of New Mexico. She is committed to utilizing the indigenous worldview, knowledge, consciousness to nurture and heal their learning spirit. Currently, she's working with a team of educators to create a curriculum that exhibits an indigenous relational perspective. Jennifer has worked 10 years as the director of Medicine Lodge Confederacy, a 501c3, essentially assisting in the creation of an Arikara language immersion school called Running Wolf Cultural Survival School west of White Shield, North Dakota. She has experience collaborating with communities to organize Native American youth, cultural, and language camps, and shares women's roles and feminine teachings for people in treatment centers. Tonight, she will share some of the teachings of Mother Corn and the Arikara Medicine Lodge. Please give a warm welcome to Jennifer. Jennifer has her lovely mother, Susan Paulson, Youngbear woman. She is a citizen of Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara nations. She received her Bachelor of Science degree in secondary education from the University of Bismarck, North Dakota, and her Master of Public Health from the University of California, Berkeley, in community mental health and health planning. She has over 35 years experience working with Native people and has held many positions working with the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara people in many different capacities. She's written 3 curricula: Relationships in Perspective, a guide for Native American youth; Extending Our Families Through Unity, Native American foster parent training; and Wraparound in Indian Country, The Ways of the People Are Who We Are. She continues her volunteer work on the Arikara language curriculum for children, preschool through grade 3 for Medicine Lodge Confederacy, and presentations for tribal entities, including addiction recovery groups. Susan is a member of the Dead Grass Society of the Arikara tribe. And would you please give a warm welcome to Susan?
Hello, my name is Jennifer Youngbear. I'm a member of the Mandan Hidatsa Arikara people from the Fort Redwood Reservation. My Indian name is She's the Face of the Arikara. I am also Hidatsa. My dad is Youngbear, and so that's where the Youngbear name comes from. And I'm a child of the Waterbuster clan of the Hidatsa tribe. My mother is Arikara and Mandan, and she's sitting right here. And she guided me through my whole life. She just took me and my brother around with her to do her presentations. And so I grew up doing presentations. She had all kinds of youth programs for us. So that's kind of the stuff that we did, and just kind of giving you a little bit of our background. But we have a question for all of you. A lot of the stuff that we try to do in education is more kind of like face-to-face games and stuff like that, but in this venue, it's a little bit hard because you guys are way back there and way over here. And then kind of like in a circle up. So we're going to do the best we can to present in the best way that we can. And I hope you guys, each and every one of you, take something home with you good this evening. But the question we wanted to start with was for each and every one of you to ask yourself, where did I come from? In a lot of the creation stories, there was a time when Creator asked himself, where did I come from? And I'm going to share with you, we began to talk about this concept of the seed of life teachings. And so I'm going to go into that. So first of all, I want each and every one of you to really think about, where did you come from? Where did that start? So I'm going to tell you a little story about Creator. In the beginning of time, Creator, it was all darkness. And during that time, he knew that he was the Creator. There was no sound, there was no color, it was just darkness. And after that, the womb of creation was created. And inside that womb of creation, there was a light. And inside that light was the Creator. But at that time, he forgot that he was the Creator. And he began to look around trying to find out where he came from. Who was he? Where did I come from? So he looked to the southeast, Okawada. And he was looking all around in the southeast, trying to find out where he came from. Then he looked to the southwest, Unanapsini, and he couldn't, who am I? Can somebody tell me who I am? Then he looked to the northwest, Skawera, and he said, he was looking around trying to find out who he was. Then he looked to the east, Hunakohanini. And when he looked to the northeast, then he looked below, he looked above. And it wasn't until he looked inside of himself that he remembered that he was the Creator. And when he looked inside himself, he began to be happy. And he began to dance, and he began to sing, and he exploded in all directions. And he continues to explode today. But the story of where I come from is the same story of Creator. You can look all around you, but it isn't until you look inside of yourself that you will find your purpose and your Creator within. And when he made the womb of creation, there's another part of the creation story. There's 4 parts of the creation story. We tell these stories during the solstice at home. But there's a part where he came down as a white lightning bolt inside of the medicine lodge, the earth lodges that we have living. When he came down, he walked on the woman's side, and he came around. He made 25 steps. The men's steps were 30 on the outside of the lodge, and then he came back inside of the lodge. And when he came to the Isinikiu, the main principal place of the medicine lodge, there was the Garden of the Gods was sitting there. And he took from the Garden of the Gods a corn, and he told that corn, teach them my ways. And he sent it into the earth. And that's when, as human beings, we went into the earth, all of the human family. And since then, Mother Corn has been guiding us with how to be a human being. And so the teachings that we're going to share with you are the teachings of a human being, not just for Arikaras, but for the whole human family and all of the world to know. Because as Arikaras and as the ancient ancestors told us, as long as we keep our office of chief, our teachings of Mother Corn and the secrets of the medicine lodge, we will always be in good order as human beings and as the Arikara people. So we still have our chiefs. And tonight we're going to share the Mother Corn teachings, not just for Arikara, Pawnee, but for all the people of the world. And we also have the secrets of the medicine lodge, which are the secrets that live inside of our creation stories that tell us why we came to this realm of existence.
Noah, after Duna Hey when Duna Gated. Glad that you all made it a path here tonight. My name is Susan Paulson. My Indian name is Skuna Gata. I almost said the first name. Don't know. Yeah, who are you? So, anyway, I would like to say, after listening to Jen, and I was so thrilled about Deb's presentation and the young lady, the filmmaker. I was like, such a beautiful story, and I kind of wanted to say a little bit about the Pawnee people, and Deb has always been so welcoming to us. But our tribes, we actually were with the Pawnees a long time ago, and we have periodically gone back to the Pawnees. In 1823, we had a war with the cavalry. It was the first war of the plains way before, it was 50 some years before the Battle of the Little Bighorn, and we were kind of ran out of by the cavalry and the Sioux. There was 800 Sioux with the cavalry at the time, and we used our medicine ways to escape because we had ways where we could we had doors that we could go into, and anyway they surrounded us in like our Earth Lodge village, and we had palisades like protection, and we anyway in the night we disappeared. And they didn't know how all the women, children, the dogs, everything were gone in the morning. But we used our medicine ways and we escaped. And at that time, we came back down with the Pawnees again because we were being chased. So off and on, we've always come back and forth with the Pawnees. They're our closest relatives. And every year we kind of have reunions. And this past year, they had a reunion up in White Shield. And the Pawnees came up there, the chiefs came, and it was really a nice thing. So we do this quite a bit. And I come from a time when my grandparents used to know people down here. They used to come and visit a lot, but I don't remember. But I was listening to the story of Deb and how you guys kind of lost your corn, and it kind of made me feel really bad. And I was kind of feeling like almost crying when I was listening to the story. I grew up in cornfields as a child. And we still had big gardens. But the thing with us somehow, some way, Mother Corn took us to North Dakota. And in our story it says there was a voice, and it was the voice of vegetation. And it told us to go north. And so actually we came north to North Dakota. Actually we were in South Dakota for quite a while. At the Grand River where Mobridge, South Dakota is. We were there for quite a while. We had our biggest villages there. So it was Mother Corn that took us there. And I remember when we were having the wars up in the north, and they said that we were almost getting killed off by the Sioux, and we had smallpox. We were weak and we were pitiful, and we got together with the Mandan and the Hiradzas just for survival. And the government was looking at us, and they were saying, maybe we should return the Arikaras back down to the Pawnees, or we could take the Hiradzas to the River Crow, because that's their closest relatives are the Crows. But what would we do with the Mandans, because they're so ancient, they've always been here. So they talked to our people, and I remember the stories, and they said, we can't go down there because Mother Corn brought us up here, and we have to be here because this is where she brought us. And the corn is so important to our tribes that Mother Corn is our greatest prophet, and she's like creator to us. Like he imbued her with his power, and her job was to teach us how to live in this world. So she's the one that we really, and she has appeared to us several different times in our history to help us. So she's a very important part of our belief system. And so I just wanted to share that with you because somehow we were able to cultivate our corn into a short season. Because we were down in Nebraska with the Pawnees, but when we took our corn and all our stuff back up north, somehow we figured out how to make it a short growing season. And we were living in the bottomlands, and it flooded every year in the bottomlands. And the soil was really, really rich, so we had really nice gardens, but we had a real short growing season. So somehow our seeds became accommodating to the short growing season, because you only got like a couple months before it snows in North Dakota. So we've kind of always had our seeds, and our seeds have been changed to fit the cold climate. So right now, I'm always amazed at Deb because she's so far ahead of what we're doing, and I think that we're starting to work with other people, and we've always kind of had our seeds. Families have had their seeds and stuff, and we've always had gardens. Ever since I can remember, we lived in our gardens, and when I was growing up, so we've always had that. And it hurt my feelings to think that you guys didn't have that for a while, and I felt because it's so important to us as Pawnee and Arikara people. And before I go on, I wanted to acknowledge my big sister, Barb Roy, is here, and my nephew, George Roy. They came to Arikara, and they live in Oklahoma. They came to listen to us tonight. So getting back to what we're here for.
I just wanted to make mention too that, so we talked about the late history of the Arikara and the Pawnee, but also the way that trying to save our languages too. My grandma Fanny Whiteman was down here, and it's written in those books about language. And she was out in Pawnee, Oklahoma, and when she was in Oklahoma, she met Douglas Parks. And so Douglas Parks came up to Whiteshield, and he helped to write down the language, and he worked with my grandma Ella Waters and a lot of my other grandmas. So my grandma Fanny and my grandma Ella Waters, and different ones to write down our language. And a lot of those younger people nowadays are using that to learn our language, because we don't have any fluent speakers of Arikara in North Dakota, or in anywhere, as far as I know. But I would just like to, and then I'd say about 25 years ago, I came down to a Cody meeting in Pawnee, and I was sitting next to Lynn Rice, and he said, Noah, where are you from? I said, I'm from Whiteshield. I said, I'm from Fort Berthold. I said, are you from Whiteshield? And I said, no, I'm from Newton, but I have a lot of relatives in Whiteshield. And he said, do you know Fanny Whiteman? And I was like, that's my grandma. Anyways, he started telling me stories about my grandmas that came down here and all the stories, with Nora Pratt and different ones. So I'm really thankful that I had that opportunity when I was here to meet those old ones, because a lot of them aren't with us anymore. And I got to hear stories of my grandmas and my grandpas coming down here. And so when I come down here, I just feel like everybody's family, and making that relationship with Deb. We that Earth Lodge that we live in, inside of there's a lot of history about our Creator, and so we came down here and we made that relationship about 2 years ago. And we worked on that Earth Lodge in Pawnee, Oklahoma, and we brought our children and our elders and women and children and men and the whole community. We all worked together, again, coming together, trying to remember where we came from, where did we come from, and what are the teachings that Creator left for us. And Creator sent Mother Corn down here to give us those teachings. So I want to get into those teachings, but before I do that, I'm going to sing one of the first songs my brother ever sang. He went to a Sioux ceremony, and he was coming back, and he felt real bad because they had really pretty songs. We didn't have no prayer songs in Arikara, and nothing about the stuff that, how we believe, because my grandmas, they all had Mother Corn bundles. They had medicines that lived in the house, and we grew up with them. And they had nothing talking about the things that we grew up with. And so he made this first song, and it was to acknowledge Mother Corn, to remind her that we remember her, and we remember the ways that she taught us. So before I go on further to talk about her, what she left us with, the teachings, I want to sing an honor song on behalf of for Mother Corn. I got a cold, so bear with me.
Atma
My brother's dad is that Jasper Youngbear, and it says Adna means mother, Neishu means corn. Shidakasish, we love you. Adigarakswa Nasaktish, we remember that Arikara way. We remember the ways that she left us. Okay, so we wrote them down, so you guys keep this list in your mind, because this is what is going to keep us in good order as human beings. And how does that go with gardening? How does being a good human being go with gardening? A garden is a metaphor for community. A garden is a metaphor for community. There needs to be all these different plants living together in harmony and connected to nature in order for them to grow healthy. So that's how it connects to us as human beings. We have to follow our way in order to help the whole community and to help not just our small communities, but to help the human family and the community of the world. So we all have responsibilities to live and how we act every day and how we take care of ourselves and how we take care of each other. So the first one is be respectful to the Creator and the sacred powers. Okay, so Creator is whatever you believe Creator is. There's a lot of different religions. I don't try to tell you how to think, but be respectful to Creator. The sacred powers. Sacred powers is everything that is alive. And as Indian people, we know that everything is alive. A rock is alive. The trees are alive. The vegetation is alive. The animal powers are alive. The stars are alive. Everything has a spirit. So that's being respectful to everything, including yourself. Be brave when defending yourself against the enemy. So maybe, Mom, you can kind of go into this one.
Jennifer was talking about, like, even in a battle, that the way that we feel about our enemies is that if you have a strong enemy, they're going to make you stronger. Having a strong enemy, if you don't have strong enemies, you're never going to be able to polish your skills, basically. So even like nowadays, and using it in the modern time, yeah, we still go to war and all that stuff, but sometimes we have war within our own selves. And the work that we do in treatment centers is us fighting with our own selves and not believing that we're sacred beings. I think one of the hardest things that we tell people is that you are Creator. You are Creator. You don't have to look outside of yourself to find Creator. Just look within yourself because you are Creator. And because we are Creator, we always want to create something. We're either creating, like Deb is always creating opportunities for people to come and braid corn and hang it up at the hall and come out and clean the logs of the medicine or the doctor lodge or whatever you want to call it. So she's always giving opportunities to be brave and do things different. Maybe you never did something before. It's kind of scary to do something when you never did it before. But to be brave and try that and remember that you're a Creator. And when Jennifer was talking about the creation story early on, when Creator looked into himself and he's seen all of us, every one of us, he's seen him, and he sat there and he sat at the altar in the medicine lodge and he thought and he played out all of our lives. And I think that's so powerful to think about, that we were born in the beginning of creation. Even though we didn't have these bodies that we're in now, our spirits were born then. So when we were born and we come into this world and these bodies that we have, we came directly from Creator. When He exploded, we are the particles that exploded. We are the shisha, what we call the spirit of the Creator. And that's what makes us alive, and everything is imbued with this power of this life. And that's why you're very, very sacred people, all of you. And I think a lot of times we go through a lot of trauma and hardships in our life, and we forget we don't believe that we're holy anymore. We think, oh God, I'm this terrible person, I did this, I did that, whatever. But in reality, you're very, very sacred and you are the creator. So part of what our job is to teach people to love themselves and to be brave in doing that. One of the things that we talk about God's mind, we have the warrior's mind and we have the mother's mind. You put the warrior's mind and the mother's mind together and you're going to have the creator's mind, God's mind, or whatever you want to call it. So there's room for all of this. The men have to learn about the mother's mind and the women have to learn about the warrior's mind. And learning new things is really hard. You have to be brave. It's easier just to stay in what you always know and what you always believe and not to grow and learn. And even us standing up here, like I would never thought that we would be doing this kind of work, but our people are so pitiful. They don't believe that they're holy. They don't believe that they're sacred. And it's our job to teach each other and to lift each other up. That's what our job is in this world. It isn't your career. It isn't your education. You can have all the money in the world, but you could still be pitiful. And in our belief system, it's how many relationships you have. How many times have you been blessed by Creator? Think about it. Every one of you guys, I bet you got a story of when Creator did something for you. You thought nothing was going to happen, and it happened. And those are not accidents. Nothing in this world is an accident. Even to the point where we pick our parents. We pick our parents before we come here. And when we do that, we can't blame them when things are hard. Maybe you grew up in an alcoholic home or things were really hard, or maybe you grew up in a violent home, or we don't know. But you know what? Those obstacles are like, if you can turn that around and extract the teaching from it, it makes you powerful. It makes you a powerful being because you chose to come here to suffer so that you could learn these things and you can elevate your mind and yourself and your spirit and you can help other people. That's what we're born for. That's why we're here on this earth. And so what I'm telling you is what we tell everybody. And it's hard to believe that even for me. I came in here today and I was kind of scared, kind of nervous and all that, you know. Even though I tell other people this, I still struggle. We're all human beings and you know, but we have to remember that we're all sacred, we're all the Creator.
The next one is to be industrious. My grandpa Albert and a lot of those older ones that wrote these down, they went to those boarding schools in like Carlisle and Hampton. And so a lot of the language that they use is really proper language in these things. So like as I was going, I had to like look those words up because it's not words that you normally use. So anyway, so I'm still learning from my grandpas now. But yeah, they said you be industrious, you know, work hard. But there's a lot of stories that go with this. And I was telling Mom, I said, there's a lot of the stories about the stars. I said the stars really liked the human beings because of how they lived in a community. They took good care of their young, how they worked hard every day, and they would want to come down here and hang out with the human beings. There's a lot of stories over a lot of different types of tribes, and that includes the Arikara and the Pawnee tribes. But they liked it because we worked hard, and they've seen us in our gardens, and they've seen how beautiful we work together as a community and help one another. And so it's been since the beginning that we were always supposed to be industrious and work hard. And there's stories of them coming down and being here. And I remember one story I read, it said the younger one said, I want to go down there. It's so beautiful down there. It's so wonderful. Can I go down there and be a human being? And they said, gee, you're just going to distract them from their work and they're not going to get things done, you know. But they ended up letting that star come down here for a while. There's a lot of stories that go like that, you know, where we had, where they came down. But that was one of them, is to be industrious. And you think of stars being above you, but they actually looked at us and they smiled upon us because of how we are as human beings and these opportunities that we have to grow and learn in this realm. So yeah, I just wanted to share that about the industrious because I thought that was pretty cool. And there's a prophecy that in the future that stars will become men and men will become stars. And there's a lot of stories that are about Pawnee men, you know, Pahugatua, the story of Pahugatua, the different ones that became stars. And we have stories of different heroes in our stories. that became stars, and they continue to help us to this day. But yeah, the industrious, that's everything's watching how hard you work, and it's not being unnoticed. Look after the needy, again, going back to community. Be honest and generous to one another. Yeah, so a long time ago, you were basically people, when you came into societies or you became to leaders, it was based on how generous you were and how kind you were to each other. And it wasn't based on how much money you had or how fancy your car was or, whatever. It wasn't based upon money or prestige. It was based on being generous, but also your spiritual. By living that way, you gain spiritual power, and it was based on your spiritual power on how you can help other people be like that. So it's to also pass that on. To give good guidance to those who have fallen off the path.
I think I kind of talked about that a little bit with the work that we're doing, but that's one thing about us as Indian people. We try to help each other get, when something goes wrong, and even when we're having a hard time. And right now up at Fort Bertha, we're having a really bad drug epidemic because we're a royal tribe. And with that came the Mexican mafia, showed up at our doors early on, and we had all our young people just dying week after week. It was really bad for a while, and I'm really happy to say that we have this huge recovery community on Fort Bertha, and I'm so proud of them. These young people, they're helping each other, and they're pulling each other out of the ground, and it's so powerful. And they just had some kind of thing in what do they call it when they have AAs, kind of roundups or something. And anyway, they had over 250 young people at that roundup in Partial because they're helping each other, and they're really doing a good job, and I'm so proud of it. And that's kind of what we all need to do, and we all know that. I look at Deb, and she's always getting everybody to work, and she's really good at that. And I'm just so impressed with the Pawnees, to be honest. And I know that you guys have problems just like we do, but it's just like we're so close to each other. I think we kind of, I don't know what we do to each other, but that's kind of part of not what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to be, the next one is like, don't be, jealous and quarreling. And one of the teachings of Mother Corn is not to be quarreling and being contentious with each other. I think about the 10 Commandments or stuff like Christianity, and they say, do not steal, do not commit adultery, do not kill. We don't even have those as our teachings. Our teachings are way beyond that, because it's like, if you do these other things, you ain't going to kill and steal anyway. If you treat each other good, and you're not trying to quarrel around and be contentious, you're not going to be stealing and killing people and stuff like that. So these are even more basic than those, because here you got to be a good human being. And what's wrong with a lot of our school system is we don't teach people to be good human beings. We teach them how to read and write and all this other stuff, which is good. I'm not putting it down. I went to school, all that. But I didn't learn that in school. In fact, you learn opposite stuff in school sometimes. So we have to make it a point to teach our people about these things. And recently we went to the tribal council, and we got funded to do a curriculum for our tribe, because we said these things are not being taught anyplace. And look at all our kids that need to know who they are. That basic question is a question that every human being has to ask. Where did I come from? And the ideal that even Creator asked that question because he forgot. And nowadays this word mindfulness is really popular. You talk about being mindful and all that. Well, this is what they're talking about. Is you have to be aware of yourself. Everything that you do and say is a choice. You don't react out of everything. You have to be aware of what you're doing at all times. And so even if you have a feeling, you don't have to act on that feeling. Somebody gets you mad or whatever, and Jennifer's always getting mad at me because I'm kind of a bear. Because I am a bear. My name is Yellow Bear Woman, and I am a bear. But we just ate the other night. This guy was giving the waiter a bad time, and I was about ready to drop him. I could barely walk. You guys see me walk up here. I still think I'm tough, but I'm not. And I also have to talk to myself and say, you know what, you have to think about it. And after I kind of got okay, and then I seen him going and he was barely walking too, and he looked just pitiful. And I was like, God, he's probably just trying to visit. He doesn't know how, you know? So a lot of the stuff that we think, that we react to, isn't even really real. And we have a choice about everything that we do and say and think. You can acknowledge your thought and let it go. You don't have to act on everything. Because that's what creates all the problems in our families and in our communities. And Mother Corn knew this. This is ancient teaching. Don't quarrel. Who would have that for a rule? You know, who would have that for a teaching but a mother? You guys would be quarreling around. I'm your mom. It's Mother Corn. It's Mother Corn talking to us. You guys quit acting like that. You know, quit fighting around and saying things about each other and gossiping to each other. And it's kind of funny because we had some people come to our house and they're trying to tell us about some other people. And we were just sitting there like, I can't say nothing because you know what? I'm worse than that person. And they were talking about a mother-in-law kind of situation. I said, well, I'm not the best mother-in-law. I really try hard, but I'm not. You know, so I started talking about myself instead of the other person. So I mean, there's ways to get away from it, but that's just a thing that I want you to think about. Because Mother Corn said, do not quarrel, be contentious, don't gossip about each other. Don't create problems when there's no problem there.
The next one is to be kind and hospitable to visitors that come into your homelands. And again, I'd like to refer back to why would you be like that? You know, because you know, as I grew up, we always treated people good, and then you have all these experiences, and you're like, geez, they just kind of took advantage of us, and blah blah blah, you know. But I also met a lot of wonderful people that came to my home, and I made relatives with them. And then as I began to research and finding out about our history, it goes back to one of the times that Mother Corn came. She came as a beautiful woman into the Arikara village, and she was a visitor. And they brought her in, and they treated her good, and they brought her into the lodge, and they showed her their ceremonies. And then they didn't know who she was, and she didn't tell them who she was. But she took them, and it was when we were down by Woolbridge. She said, I want 12 men to come with me on a war party. I don't know if you guys read that story, but I want 12 men to come with me on the war party. And they went on that war party, and when they went on that war party, they all died, except for one of those men that came back. And even Mother Corn died on that war party, but where she died, the Mother Corn plant began to grow on the battlefield. So me and my brother, we were visiting about this, and he said, you know, I was really thinking about this story, sister. And he said, we used to have 12 bands of Arikara. And that was her telling us that out of those 12 bands, only one band would survive, and that was the Oahu, the chief band of the Arikara. And we would begin to lose the teachings of Mother Corn, but in the battlefield, she began to sprout and she began to grow again. So that's us remembering Mother Corn teachings, and again, sharing them and teaching them with the future generations and the human family. And that's what we're doing today. So that's Mother Corn's teachings coming back for all of us. The food that we use that pacifies all spirits. So that's why we have different types of corn mush and all of these corns that grow. It's really important that we continue them on because it makes the spirit and makes our connection to the spiritual realm stronger, and it makes that relationship stronger.
Like if I was holding a corn plant, you all see those corns going around like this? All the way around up to the top. And they say that we are the generation that's sitting at the top of the corn. So we're the survivors of a lot of stuff, and we are the ones that's sitting on top of the corn, and we have to remember who we are and about the corn. And I really enjoyed watching that film and seeing how much effort and work that went into it and how industrious these guys really are. And then I watched these ladies clean all those poles for that earth lodge. You know what, we go, like they put earth lodges in Punkertown and other places down here, but it only takes like a couple weeks if you have all the logs. Just take you like a week to put up an earth lodge. But here they cut every tree and they clean every tree, and I just think, how powerful is that? I've never even seen anybody do that, except in Pawnee. Because my nephew TJ is putting up earth lodges down here a couple weeks ago. It took him like a couple weeks because they bought a kit and they just had all their stuff all cut for them. Everything was all ready. Just slap it up, you know. Not a big deal. But I watched the Pawnees and how hard they worked and how much effort and prayer and everything went into that. You know, there's controversy about that lodge, but I'll tell you one thing. That lodge, you could burn it down, but it's still there. Because what we did was a spiritual thing. It wasn't a physical thing. And what you Pawnee people did was spiritual. To put that effort into that, to want it that bad, to do that, to actually put work into it. I'm amazed. I lasted exactly 2 hours cleaning a pole. And I was like, I want to go home. There's Deb, you know, she's on like her 50th day or whatever, cleaning those poles. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of work, man. That's a secret thing that you guys did. And I want to say that when Jennifer dreamt that, and I'm telling secrets of our secrets here now, but Jennifer dreamt that about 3 years before we came down. She said, I don't know why, but we're going to go down and help the Pawnees. In about 3 years here, something's going to happen and we're going to go down there. And then when Deb was the one that asked Jazz, and of course Jazz got no sense, I'll say yeah, anything, but we didn't have anything to work with. They had no money, they had nothing, but the community came together and they found trees in different people's land and they all went out there and they did all that work. And I've never seen, honestly, we put up a bunch of lodges, but we never had to do all that. And I've never seen that. So that's a spiritual thing that you guys have there. It's, it can fall down because those things don't last forever. You have to keep repairing them and stuff. But it can fall down, but you know what happened was we brought the spiritual part down. We brought the Mother Core teachings down. And the spiritual part that connects us to the universe. So it doesn't even matter about the lodge anymore, you guys. It's always going to be there for you. I wanted to say that.
Thank you.
What would you think of that?
Inside all of the seeds in the corn is all of the elements. So I'm going to sing to the fire that is acknowledged by the sun, and then I'm going to end with that song to make that balance of the male and the female.
What an absolutely beautiful night to spend together, and I want to thank you so very much. I think one of the things that's so beautiful here is to see a mother and daughter, and it reminds us that, you know, we're all children, and we all have learning to do in this lifetime, and that should never end. And so I just want to thank you both very much for sharing your teachings with all of us tonight. I want to thank everyone who came tonight, who took time out of your lives to come and find the importance of some of these stories. And I hope everybody that leaves this place tonight will leave with something very personal and very special, and that you'll have goodness in your own personal lives. And so, you know, many things that brought us here together tonight. I've always been taught by my mom, who is here, that we'll never be in this same grouping ever again, right? We all came together, and we brought our spirits together tonight, and it will never be the same as it is tonight. So this is truly a blessed evening, and we just want to thank you, like I said, for sharing some of your cultural life ways and teachings with us. This is what this place is for, and so you just honor us so very much by bringing that into this space. And you know, this place has been on its own journey, and it has been a very tough journey at many times. And so to have the abundance tonight, I cannot thank you enough. So much. And as just a small token of our appreciation, we would like to just give you just a small gift, and we want to ask Rebekka if you will come up here, and also Deb, we can come down there. And if anybody would like to come and take a photo of these amazing women, then, you know, we can certainly make that opportunity available. Again, if anybody is interested, there's about 15, 20 minutes where you could go through the galleries. And so we just want to say our great appreciation. And we just have a little something for each one of you from the museum. So we appreciate your spirit and your time here tonight. We have something for you too, and then maybe we can just kind of step up here. Okay, you can sneak up.
I want to acknowledge our artists in the house. Used to be an intern, did a lot of work up in Nebraska with us, helped out a whole lot in Pawnee. Sunny Howe is in the house, and this is a special gift that we want to give to our Arikara women. So thank you so much.
Kind of step to the center of the stage here. I know some folks might have some opportunities. They want to take a photo. Let's give everybody just a warm thank you for sharing everything that you shared with us tonight. We appreciate you so very much, and may everybody leaving here tonight have a just wonderful holiday season, and may you all find your homes better than when you left them. And thank you again for taking the time to come and share your spirit with us here at this place. Madam.